Hey everybody, Mike Naso here from IPR and podweather.com with the latest on the tropics. And before I start, podweather.com, I wanted to show you, if you go to the website, this is what you'll see. Note at the top here we have our different links. You could go to the main website, and that's where you'll get the stream for our programs, including weather shows and special coverage of hurricanes. Weather blog is still up and running, and you'll also see posts of different updates on storms, and definitely you could join and make comments and participate. Hurricane Project is where you'll find a lot of the information from, say, the hurricane conferences, and we're still revamping a lot of this. The Tropical Update website, Mike Watkins' website, is still up and running. You can check that out. And then we'll have the Pod Weather archives, and we're also going to put up an archive as much as we can of past shows as well as video updates. Now, as you scroll down the page, you can see, for example, this is yesterday that I did. Sometimes it'll be an AVI file, sometimes it'll be a Windows Media. Whatever the case, you could keep it in the player, you could play it in the pop-up, or you could just download the file. And so there are lots of options. You could play it in the embedded player here, and so definitely check out podweather.com for all of our content this hurricane season. No doubt it's going to be an active one. Now you can see the last 3 days. Look what's happened with Arthur, and its remnants here have continued to sit and spin right here around the Yucatan, and we have a whole bunch of different features to talk about. What's left of Arthur, what else is in the Caribbean, as well as what could be developing in the East Pac. And certainly this is going to continue to cause prolific rainfall. Now you can see right now what we see on the latest visible satellite imagery as the sun starts to set. You see a couple of spins. First of all, the spin over land is what's left of Arthur. That's right here. That's spinning right here, the remnant low of Arthur, and you can see the clouds spinning around like this. Okay? Then what you also see is out over the Pacific, you see this low pressure right here, which could very well become a tropical depression over the next day or so. And then, if you look even closer, you can still see a lot of convection and energy right here over Belize and the Yucatan coastline and in parts of the Caribbean Sea associated with what's left of Arthur. So, is it possible that this portion of what's left of Arthur gets back out of water? Very unlikely. Is it possible that this portion in the eastern Pacific develops? I think that's pretty likely, and it would probably move in this general direction over the next several days. And again, taking a look at it from afar, this is a wide-spanning circulation. You can see it down here, all the way in the eastern Pacific, and up here in the Caribbean, showers. What's left of Arthur is up here. What could be developing is down here. The mess up here is a big, disorganized mess. But it doesn't have to be organized to cause a lot of rain. Remember, it was about 7 years ago in June of 2001, we had Allison, and that killed 40 people along the Gulf Coast, and the flooding was prolific in areas like Texas, Louisiana, all the way up to New England, and that was only a minimal to moderate tropical storm. Now here's the latest on our invest in the eastern Pacific. You should see the low pressure on the satellite moving generally towards the northwest or the north, and look at the GFS model actually shows it moving into the Gulf of Mexico. And a lot of people have been talking, we saw Alma dissipate, and it helped spawn Arthur, and now we're seeing Arthur dissipate, and that may help spawn what would be another eastern Pacific storm. The next name's Boris. And then if Boris were to somehow dissipate, but the remnants move back out over the Gulf and redevelop, it would then become a whole separate storm named Bertha. And it's stuff like this has happened before. It's very rare, but it is interesting. The likelihood of all of it coming together is slim, but still, we'll see. If I had to draw a track, I'd say somewhere in this region, if we do get a system developing, very slow movement, continued prolonged rain event. The GFS model is still coming out, and this shows on Friday still lower pressures down here in the Caribbean and a pretty dominant ridge of high pressure, and that will not bode well for land areas in the future. Central Atlantic, that wave we were watching yesterday that moved in this area has of course gotten sheared and died out, but it was pretty potent. Even the Hurricane Center and the Prediction Center noted that. Another interesting flare up north of Puerto Rico. And then our low pressure that moved off Africa here is way too early for that, but it's an indication that later this hurricane season we could have a lot of activity. And finally, in the western Pacific, our tropical storms moving out south of Japan. It's not going to affect anybody. So I'm Mike Naso from IPR. I'll see you next time with the latest on the tropics, and stay tuned.